I was on that road, it was dirt, and it was in the 70s when CB radios were a big thing, and everybody played with CB radios, and I was young then, and naturally, and I was going on my way to fishing up to the dam up further, and I ended up getting caught up there on the CB radio with the stuff they call in those days skip, and I think I sat there yakking to people for the best part of 2 or 3 hours. And I was with another bloke at the time we were going fishing with, and he had the shits because I wouldn't bloody pull the CB radio away. I think I had one called a Super Panther. But anyway, that's another story. But in those days it was fun. It was more like a sort of like a mobile phone, except you had trouble with reception. Anyway, we'll get on to this. Hi guys, welcome to the channel. Here we are, nice little rest area, just off the, what's this, everywhere you go, everything is under surveillance. What would they be surveillance doing here? Export illegal dumping. Huh? Anyway, here it is like this, nice little rest stop. I can even sit over on the bench while they're yakking away. I was just looking at that bench. It looks like it's been heavily infested by possibly termites or some sort of borers. Look at this, somebody's left a couple of empty containers there too. But anyway, what we'll talk about is today, well, we'll split the video into two. This one's going to be, we'll talk about the fuel economy at the moment. So when I left, what is it, over 4 hours earlier, I'd filled the tank, and I've done all sorts of terrain riding. I've done flat running, twisties, hills, dirt. You can tell I've been on the dirt. Fair bit of dirt tossed over all this. I've been this fuel economy test has not been involved running around town or something, straight out cruising out along the road or where I've been at the moment, and the average speed has been 100 kilometres or 60 mile an hour, and where I went to the one particular section it was 110 kilometre limit, and I ran at 110 k's along that section there. So overall the bike has performed really well, no drama whatsoever. The only trouble is now I'm down to the last bar. I'm probably about 50 kilometres from a service station, and I've now clocked up, you may be able to see it, looks like 364 kilometres. So that's what I've managed so far on the gas. I think I put in at 95 RON. So what we will be doing is get her back to the service station, fill her up, see exactly what it went under normal riding conditions. So, you know, I haven't been easy on it. I've been, you know, giving her a bit of a workout at those speeds. Hasn't been incident free. We'll have that over again, it hasn't been incident free. I've had a galah hit the front wheel, a bird strike on the windscreen. I don't know where that hit it, but well, it wouldn't have been on the windscreen, I would have been wearing that bird. And the third incident was on one of the windier sections of road. I come across on the seal section a fair rut in the road which hit the front wheel first naturally, and it felt to me like the front wheel lifted. So now I could be wrong, but it certainly felt like it lifted to me when I was riding it. But apart from that, well, I think next when it goes in for a service, which is now overdue, I might just get them to check the wheel balance on the front wheel. But apart from that, the bike's performed well, run well, all looks good on that side. So guys, the next trip for me now will be once I have a bit of a rest here for a while because I feel a bit sore after this ride, we'll be head to the service station, which is probably about 50 kilometres away, fuel her up, see exactly how much petrol this bike's consumed. And like I said, it hasn't been what you'd call a miserable sort of a ride as far as, you know, can I save a bit of petrol here or save a bit there to try to help increase the kilometres per litre. It hasn't been one of those type of rides. It's been real world type riding where you get out there and I give it a workout, like I said, through the corner, in the straight sections, did it in, ran dirt, ran everything with it. So what comes out with this will be either a pretty good example of what you could expect from the bike, and you know, some people might even improve on it because, like I said, it hasn't been around those back roads. I was sort of running the gears pretty well, so it was a case of not being miserable with the throttle. So is what I class as a real world test run on fuel economy, and we'll see what happens when I get to the bows and fill it up and how much it actually consumed. So catch up with you later. It might have been, say, 10 or 15 kilometres up the road, but all of a sudden the blinks that came on, started blinking, and after it blinked for a while, then I looked over and the odometer had gone on trip A, and there was no total miles showing at that stage, and it was doing it looked to me like a fuel consumption count up from 0 to 3 litres, which would have put me totally on empty. So it counted up in 1/10 increments, and by the time I got back home, or by the time I got to that service station, I think it was on 0.5 or almost 0.6, something like that. So it appears that the fuel gauge on this is extremely accurate. So if you're going along and unlike other things where you have a guess at how much fuel you got or how much you haven't got, when this one comes on and lets you know that light blinks and does the count, well, according to my fill up at the station there, it's highly accurate, and I put 14.5 litres in. It was around it was around half a litre showing on the gauge on the count up towards 3 litres, so that would have put me spot on. I probably would have been able to, well, I did 413 kilometres on the tank, and it was a fairly brisk run. I suppose there may have been something like close on 60 to 70 kilometres of gas left in that tank before it collapsed, because I only used half litre of the reserve compared to it handles 3. So it gives you an idea that everything was working well on the bike, so you can trust what the fuel gauge tells you, and it's not like one of those where you think, oh yeah, I've got plenty of petrol in there and the gauge isn't accurate. I'd class this gauge now on this bike extremely accurate. So another thing, it worked out, I think I got roughly 28 kilometres to the litre. I'll just rip a calculator for that and check her out, and we'll see what happens from there. But overall, the gauge is accurate. I didn't pussyfoot around on this bike when I took it out on that big run, so you know, 413 kilometres on that run was a pretty good test to tell you what it was like on petrol. So overall, what I put down for you should be a fairly accurate description of how things went on the day. So guys, to sum up, cost $22.72. I did 14.48 litres, travel 413 kilometres, highway speeds between 100 and 110 at times. Fuel consumption, if I would have emptied the tank totally, I would have got roughly 485 kilometres out of the tank. So you take into account that I did run this along fairly briskly at times, you know, so I would say it's quite possible to throw a 500 kilometre tank out of it. So if anyone wonders what they will do, I could say, yeah, if I would have been out there on an economy run and just using the throttle smoothly, I would have pulled 500 kilometres of that tank going on. I used 14.5 litres for 413 kilometres, and the tank's 17, so I still had 2.5 litres left in the tank. So if you look at that thing where some of them say that they could get 500 kilometres out of this tank, I'd say quite possible, and I would have went very close or well over that, I would have thought, if I would have rode the bike in a more smoother fashion. So once again, that's just a sum up on the calculations, and hope you found it interesting.